Hi everyone. Alright, in this video we are going to be reviewing some fraction work here. And I know fractions kind of get a bad rap, okay? People are a little bit afraid of fractions for some reason, but they're really not too bad. One of the main things you need to know about fractions is that if you want to add them together or subtract them, okay, if you want to do that, you got to get common denominators. Alright, so in order to add or subtract, the first thing you have to do is get common denominators. And then you're going to combine. All right. Now for multiplying, we don't need common denominators. Okay. For multiplying, what we're going to do is try to reduce first and then multiply the numerators together. And multiply the denominators together. All right, so you multiply the tops and you multiply the bottoms. And if we've done a good job of reducing to start with, then we shouldn't have to reduce at the end. Lastly, for dividing, we're going to do a little two-step process, right? The first step is we're going to reciprocal the second fraction. If you remember what reciprocal means, it means flip it over. Okay, so you can, after you do that, then we're just going to multiply. Okay, so it's reciprocal, the second fraction, and then multiply. All right, so let's do some examples, okay? So if you need to, pause the video and you can copy down the first example into your note page, right? And then unpause it and we'll do this first problem together, okay? So in the first problem, it says 2/3 minus 1/5. The denominators are not the same, so we're going to get common denominators. All right, so I'm looking what number can I multiply 3 and 5 by to get a common factor, a common multiple. So that would be, we could get to 15. So I need to multiply the first fraction by 5 on the top and the bottom. And the second fraction, I need to multiply by 3 on the top and the bottom. And that'll get me the common denominator of 15. Okay, so when I do that, I get 10 over 15 minus 3 over 15. Notice I've got my common denominator, so now I can combine them. 10 minus 3 is 7 over 15. The bottom stays the same. Right, it's just 7 over 15. There's my answer. Okay. Let's try number 2. All right, in number 2, you'll notice that there's the 3 is not really written in a fraction form right now. So we got to give it a denominator, and that denominator, anytime it's a whole number, is always going to be 1, right? This makes the common denominator really easy. All I got to do is multiply both the top and the bottom by 12 to get my common denominator of 12. And that gets me a new fraction here of 7 over 12 plus 36 over 12. All right. And when I combine that, I get, 43 over 12. That doesn't reduce, so that's my answer. All right. Let's move on to multiplying now. All right, in problem number 3, we've got a multiplication example here. Once you got it copied down, let's go ahead and give this a shot. So for multiplying, I don't care about common denominators, all right? My goal is first to reduce and then multiply across the top and the bottom, right? Well, if I look at this problem here, I see 4/3, I see a 5 on the bottom, a 2 on the top. I don't see any numbers that are going to reduce from the top to the bottom, okay? Which means that I can multiply. So on the top, I get 4 times 2 is 8 over 3 times 5 is 15, and that's my answer. Okay, 8 over 15 doesn't reduce, and if you've correctly seen that it doesn't reduce in the beginning, then your final answer won't reduce either. Let's take a look at another problem here. This one's likely to reduce. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so I've got 5/6 times 7/10. Now, individually, those fractions don't reduce, but one of the things to look out for is you can reduce diagonally too. So 10 and 6 both can divide by 2. So I'm going to cut those both in half. All right, so the 10 becomes a 5, the 6 becomes a 3, because I'm just dividing both of them by 2. All right, well, when I do that, I get 5 times 5 is 25 on top. 3 times 7 is 21 on the bottom. 25 over 21 doesn't reduce, so there's my final answer there. Okay, now to do some dividing. For problem number 5, we've got 3/4 divided by 5/8. You got to be careful when you see that division symbol. The first thing we have to do is turn it into a multiplication problem, and we do that by doing the reciprocal always, always, always of the second fraction. So we say take the reciprocal. Okay, so when I do that, 3/4 stays the same. The division sign, now we're turning this into a multiplication problem. Okay, and 5/8 flips over, becomes 8/5. Okay, the reason this works, okay, is that division equals, or it is multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, so when I multiply by the reciprocal, which is what I've just set up here, I'm doing the same thing as division. Okay, so let's see here. Now I can try to reduce, and so what we've got here is that the 8 and the 4 can both be divided by 4, actually. So we're going to, 8 divided by 4 is 2, 4 divided by 4 is 1. I'm just reducing diagonally there. And that's going to give me 3 times 2 is 6, over 1 times 5 is 5, all right, and 6/5 doesn't reduce. That's my final answer here. All right, one more practice problem with division. So here we have 6 divided by 2/3, right? 6 divided by 2/3. Well, just like we saw in one of the examples earlier, when I have the number like 6, where it's just a whole number, I need to turn it into a fraction. Okay, so there's 6 divided by 2/3. Okay, I need to take that second fraction and I need to do the reciprocal of it. So now I get 6 over 1 times, so I'm multiplying by the reciprocal, multiplied by 3 over 2. I flipped it over. Okay, let's look for reducing. 6 and 2 here can be reduced. They both divide by 2. So that's going to give me 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I get a nice easy answer here. 3 times 3 is 9, over 1 times 1 is 1. So that's my answer is just 9. Okay, so there's our little fraction review. Look over, mark down any questions you have about problems that maybe you didn't quite understand or you have a question about. And thanks for watching.